Our second panellist, Doug from the Victoria University School of Geography, Environment and Earth Sciences, discussed electricity generation. You stated that New Zealand is a lucky country because we have a great renewable resources, for example, great wind potential. You also mentioned marine power. What is that?
Marine power, there's a range of technologies for marine power. There is wave power where you have either onshore installations or installations that float, and as the waves come past they turn a pump or piston which causes a turbine to run. There are other things, tidal flow, where you have estuaries like the Kaipara Harbour, and you have turbines that, as the tide turns, they are driven by the tidal turn. So that twice a day, going in two different directions, the water flows and the turbines flow. The third type is a bit further away. All these technologies are still being developed and are still some way away. But the third one is currents, where you have deep ocean currents. In fact, New Zealand has a very good ocean current, or Wellington has, just offshore, running through the Cook Strait. So you have turbines that anchor to the shore, to the seabed, and as the current goes past, they're quite large. They turn very slowly, so they don't hurt any of the whales or fish or anything like that. Generate a huge amount of power, because potentially they could. But again, that's marine power. In New Zealand, you're looking at these technologies maybe in 20, 30, 40 years, that sort of frame. So 20, 30, 40 years, I think New Zealand could be having a significant portion of its electricity coming from various sorts of marine power.
So if marine power was a feasible option, do you think that renewable energy has the ability to replace non-renewable energy?
For electricity, current electricity generation, and the confusing thing or the uncertain thing is the role that electricity will play in transport, which it hasn't historically done. But for our current demand, we've got enough, without marine power, we've got enough renewables in New Zealand to generate, I think, virtually, if not 100%, close to it. 100% of our electricity demand could come from various sorts of renewables. And they include geothermal, wind power. We've got wind, we've still got some hydro. I know that it's difficult when you're talking about damming rivers, and that's going to be something that needs to be worked through. Also biomass, direct burning of biomass, of trees, and it can generate electricity, and it's something that's done in Sweden, it's done in Finland, and it works quite well. And of course it's carbon neutral if you replant the trees, so that's an option as well. So New Zealand's very lucky with respect to the amount of renewables we have. So yeah, the problem is these things tend to be a bit more expensive than using fossil fuels, as long as we don't take account of the cost that fossil fuels put on the environment. And I'm talking primarily about climate change, but there are other costs associated with fossil fuels. For example, one of the things I've got a concern about coal-fired power stations is, what do you do with the ash, the slag? Once you've burnt something, you've got quite high toxic remainder which has to be got rid of, and that's always that people forget about that. They always think about the CO2, which is a big problem, but there's also the local pollution effects as well.
Another option you talked about is that you said you're a great believer in demand side management. How can we decrease the demand curve for energy? So what can New Zealanders do?
Well, individually, New Zealanders can do stuff that, and it involves various things like turning out lights. Putting in low flow shower heads are a good thing, because you do use a lot of energy for hot water. Cutting down the time you spend in the shower might be another thing entirely, another thing you might try. But then you can spend more and more, and depending on if you own your house or not, and you can do lots of things which can reduce your power, your demand for energy. I'm talking mainly about electricity, but it also applies to other sources of energy that you use. Or improve the quality of your life so that you're a healthier person as well. We have very unhealthy houses in New Zealand, and I'm sure that some of the other people will talk about that. But overall, I think that it's not just what we do at our homes, it's also the way we act and in a political context to raise the concept, both with our government and with the people generally, that we should be thinking about moving away from the growth paradigm around our energy demand and saying, yes, we want to decouple our energy demand from economic growth or from whatever measure of national welfare we use. I come from an ecological economics background, and this fixation on economic growth at all costs is going to, well, it's not sustainable. It's not going to last. We need to move away from that. And so it's all tied up with that. So when we talk about reducing our need for energy, we're also talking about how do we make our society a lot more sustainable in a broader context. So I come at the problem from an energy background because my training is in that context, but you could come at the same question from other aspects, social justice, energy, fuel poverty, all that sort of stuff as well. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons. Yeah.
There's options.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you.